It's saying it's going live, so saying it's going live, so
oh, I'm hearing.
Okay, I think it's working. So awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Asian Queens in Animation. Today we have a look development panel, our journey to look development. So awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Asian Queens in Animation. Today we have a look development panel. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I was scared. I was like, where am I coming from? Okay, but no worries. So thank you all for being here. We are joined by these amazing look development artists from awesome studios all around the country. So our objective today is to just have a little discussion, to learn about your experiences and your journey into animation and how it's been since you graduated. So we can start off with introductions. So you guys can start by sharing your name, your workplace, your job, your pronouns, and how you culturally identify yourself. So yeah, we can get started with you, Erica, and then you can pass it on to another person.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Erica. I do look development for Nickelodeon. Right now, I'm on the new show Camp Coral, which is a prequel for SpongeBob. And I am originally from New York, and now I live in LA. And then what else are we supposed to say?
Oh, how you culturally identify yourself, and if you prefer, you can share your pronouns too.
Oh, right. Okay. My pronouns are she and her, and I am Chinese.
Awesome. So yeah, you can pop it off to someone else, or if anyone else would like to volunteer.
Chinese.
Awesome.
Yeah, Sonali, do you want to go
to someone else, or if anyone else would like to volunteer?
I'm hearing like our echo.
Yeah, I hear like an echo.
Yeah.
Just like, oh no.
Do you want to go to someone else, or if anyone else would like to volunteer?
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna keep talking anyway.
Like an echo.
Yeah. So I'm Sonali. I'm a materials artist at Blue Sky Studios, and I.
Oh, Vidya, I think it's coming from your.
Sorry, I'm a materials artist at Blue Sky Studios, and I graduated from SCAD with a degree in visual effects in 2019, and my pronouns are she, her, and I culturally identify as Asian American, but I guess I would say I'm Indian.
Okay, awesome. And I think before we hop on to the next, Erica, I think I forgot to ask where you graduated from.
Oh, yes. So I graduated undergrad from NYU Tisch School of the Arts, and then I went to do the 2-year certificate program at Noman.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So awesome. So Chaiwon, is that how I pronounce your name? I don't want to. Okay,
yes,
awesome. So you can go next.
Hello, my name is Chaiwon Kim. I'm a look development artist in Disney, and I'm originally from South Korea, and my pronoun is she, her, and I went to Academy of Arts Academy of Arts University in San Francisco.
Awesome. So yeah, and last it's you, Vidya.
So is everyone hearing the echo?
Oh no, we're good now.
Not anymore.
I'm hearing it like.
Oh no, that's so weird.
Like, do you know how I can turn it off?
I'm not sure. It should have been gone when you plugged in your headphones. Oh, I think maybe, do you have your YouTube tab open?
Got it. Okay.
Then maybe that's what it is.
Hey everyone, I'm Vidya. I am currently working in sets at Pixar, and I graduated from Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. I got a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, in 2017, so it's been like 3 years almost. And in those 3 years, I started off at actually an intern at Pixar and then went to Disney and then I'm back. So yeah, that's kind of my journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. And I think we can sort of start getting into the discussion. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so our first question is, how was it growing up in an Asian household when you desired a creative career? And when did you find out that you wanted to work in animation or just in like a creative career in general? So yeah, who would like to start?
I'll start.
Sure.
So for me, my family was always super supportive of me going into a creative career. My mom handed me the first crayon to draw like a house or something. I've always been into drawing and painting, and I think I kind of always knew that I wanted to do a creative career. And I think I really realized it that like this is for sure I want to do when I was in high school. And I was like, well, I guess there's nothing else that I would like to do more than doing art. And so yeah, at SCAD, I went to SCAD for animation, and I really took the time to sort of explore a few different things. At first I did think that I wanted to do like concept design or illustration or storyboarding or those kind of things. But then eventually I discovered look development and lighting, and eventually I discovered grooming, and I realized I wanted to do that. And I was better at that and that kind of thing. So I think it's important in college to sort of explore, find out what you're good at, and it's never too late to realize you want to pursue a creative career.
Yes, for sure. And I will say, I'm from SCAD too, and a lot of professors recommend to reach out to Sonali because she's so awesome.
I didn't know that.
There are professors. But yeah, so we can hop on to another person. Would you like to go, Vidya?
Yeah. I do have like a lot to say growing up in I guess a strict immigrant kind of household. But also my childhood was a lot of traveling. Like I was born in India and we moved to like Malaysia and then spent a good portion of my childhood in Toronto. So I kind of got used to kind of picking up and moving everywhere. And I've never really had time to like, make those like really long lasting friendships. It was always like, all right, move on to the next place. But it was really hard for me to kind of tell my parents what I wanted to do, which was art. And they had a different plan for me. And the more they kind of pushed back on it, the more I wanted to do it and pursue it and kind of like prove them wrong, mainly. And that wasn't the only reason, but I was just mainly really passionate about it. And yeah, it was tough.
Yeah,
it was really tough.
I agree. I mean, my family has been supportive, thankfully, but there have been external forces that were like, you should become a pharmacist or you should do this. And I'm just like, oh. So yeah, but I'm glad you keep pushing because I see your work on Instagram and your page and it looks awesome.
Oh, thanks.
But awesome. So who would like to go next? Chaiwon, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Well, like Sonali, my parents were like 100% supportive because all I did since I was like, I don't know, 5 years old was drawing all the time. So I was really lucky that they were supportive. So I always knew I'm gonna be some type of an artist. So I went to art high school and also majored fine art in undergrad. But then the fact that if you keep doing the fine art, most of the time you need to work by yourself, and only selected people are gonna be able to enjoy my work wasn't really appealing to me. So I was looking for a new goal. And at the time, Pixar was having a really big exhibition in Seoul. So I went there and I just fall in love with it, like how creative all the works are. So I started to read book about it and watch documentary about it. And then more and more I know, I just wanted to pursue it even more. So I moved to San Francisco and started my journey.
That's awesome. But yeah, just chugging away the dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. So Erica.
Yes. So I always had supportive parents growing up, and actually I'm adopted. So I have a Asian father and a white mom. And throughout my childhood, I always knew, and they were aware that they wanted me to celebrate my Asianness. So I remember growing up having like Studio Ghibli on like VHS, and my mom said, "Oh, I researched all these like Asian films, so you could always just have that in your life." And I really appreciate that from them. So I'm always just in touch with that. And then just my entire childhood, I was super into arts. I always knew I was going to do arts. And I actually remember, I loved cartoons, and I actually remember the moment I wanted to do animation was I was watching Ratatouille in the movie theater, and that moment where he's like eating the cheese and then the strawberry, and you see all like the swirls. I was like, oh my God, people get to do this? So that's when I knew that I definitely wanted to do animation. So then from there, I went to film school at NYU. And the film school, I think it taught me how to make like directorial decisions. But then I I moved to LA, and then I went to Noman because I felt like I needed to learn more of the trade. And that's how I grew into doing modeling and look development.
Awesome. That's so great to hear. But yeah, I know that there are people who come from supportive and not supportive families, so it's good to hear like a mix of both. But yeah, and I think we kind of touched upon that question about what drew you to animation. So I think our next question is, do you ever find yourself bringing any parts of your heritage into your work? And if yes, like what are your biggest influences? So yeah, who would like to start off? I know it's a little tough question because it's like most of the, maybe it could be personal work, it could be work you do at work.
I'll go first.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
yeah, just like what you mentioned, I'm still junior artist, so I didn't really get to like put my heritage ethnicity into like big shows or anything yet. But for my personal work, me and my husband is an animator, so we are planning to make Asian character rig that is not looking like Japanese anime or some kind of a very stereotypical Asian characters out there, because there's so many character rigs out there, but it's mostly Caucasian, and we wanted to make something more like us, like usual Asian.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're still learning about rigging and character design, so yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Does anyone else have find inspiration in their heritage or any mythological stories? Or
I guess like I sort of have the same experience that Chaiwon says, like I'm still a junior artist.
Yeah.
And also like when you're working in a studio environment, you're often following a very specific design. So it's often like a director's vision or the production designer's vision. So you're sort of trying to carry out their vision, and where you can, you fit in sort of like your personal touch. But you know, for me, I guess in my personal work, I guess I don't know. But what I do want to say is that, like, growing up Asian American, I think we have this sort of like, it might be a stereotype, but it's also kind of true that we work really hard. And I think like artists are also perfectionists. Like every artist has been a perfectionist, and I think Asian American artists, it's very true as well, and Asian other countries' artists. So I think that's probably like my biggest, like, I'm a hard worker, and I've sort of drawn that from the culture that I've grown up in and the values that my parents have instilled upon me. So I wish I could say that I'm making an Indian person rig. I'm not doing anything that cool, but
why not?
yeah.
Let's make it.
Yeah, I don't know how to rig.
You can make the cloth stems.
I can do hair.
Yes. Oh my God, that would be so nice if we had like a braided, like really long hair.
Really thick, long hair. Yeah.
Yes, that would be so cool.
Very high poly.
Yeah.
But also,
I absolutely agree with Sonali, what she said about the hard work that's derived from our culture. And since we're not like doing the typical like, you know, engineering or computer science route, it's like we're putting all of this hard work into something we like. So we gotta like really hustle, you know, to like make it happen. So I feel like that's something I've been doing like throughout college, I think. And when it comes to like how my culture, how my art has been influenced by my culture, I would say I like making art about my own experiences, like negative or positive, kind of just those experiences that I've like evolved from, and using this art as like a therapeutic kind of means as well, you know? So just, yeah, I like kind of making personal art about stuff I've been through growing up, and helps me like get over something like that. But yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, Erica, do you have anything you want to add?
I was trying to think about it too. I don't think I haven't done any personal art that has been influenced by my culture. I hope to maybe make like a short to bring more light about adoption and stuff, because that is definitely a big part of me. I think a part of our culture that has affected all of us as we become like are included in the film industry is just the fact that we want to shed light on more and different varied cultures, and like tell more stories and perspectives, and have more art that is influenced by different cultures.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think we can hop on to the next question, which is a little bit different, but it kind of goes on with that hard work topic we were talking about, is how was it balancing your work-life balance after graduation, especially because in art school, you know, there's like not really a work-life balance, you're like constantly working. So how was it when you got into the industry and you're just like how was there a balance right away, or did you have to stop yourself and be like, hey, take some time off? How was that for you guys?
I'll go first.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely compared to the grad school, I'm working much less than at the time, because I was working like 12 to 13 hours every day and like 6 days a week at the lab. And my friend used to mock me like, is your home address like lab address kind of thing? But yeah, it was only possible because it was only like 3 to 4 years. But if I kept doing that, I'm gonna eventually burned out at some point. And I think taking a break is as important to make a better art. So I usually, after 9 hours of work, I try to stay away from the computer and try to do something else other than 3D animation. And before COVID, I used to go climbing gym with my coworkers or my husband to just work out and like do some kind of a physical exercise. But I mean, because of COVID, it all turned into like mostly Netflixing and reading. But yeah, I mean, still, I try to go outside and walk my dog and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, always try to give my brain and my eyes a break at some point.
Yeah, especially with all the screen time, you're just like, oh well, like I can't like drive to and from work. I just like in front of my computer the entire day.
Yeah. I mean, you can see my bed here. Like I just walk up here and then go to work right away.
Yes.
For me, I would echo what Chaiwon said. Like in school, it's so different, and in art school, and my experience with SCAD is like people tend to like work themselves to the bone, and it's not good. Like because it's not. There's also like this kind of understanding sometimes that like, oh, well, if you can handle art school, then you can handle the industry. Like the industry is not that bad. Like it's you're not pulling 3 all-nighters a week when you work in the industry. Like I complain if I work past 6 or something, you know? So it's not really worth it to sacrifice your health and your sanity when you're in school just for your grades or your portfolio pieces or something. It's better to take it at your own pace and to give yourself a break rather than, and enjoy college too. Like I know that's a very like American thing, being like, oh, I'm going to university to explore and have fun and party and whatever. But I think it's important to like take time to enjoy, make friends and spend time with your friends, even if you're spending time at the computer lab, like a lot of us. That's very important. But yeah, once you're working in the industry, it's a lot easier. Especially when you're in an office, you just walk away and then you don't come back until 9 the next morning. But working from home, I think a lot of people, not me, but a lot of people sort of like slip into a like, oh, I can put in another hour here or another hour there. And like, oh, well, this thing isn't finished, but it's got to be done. That sort of happens when we're working remotely, but I think it's important to sort of like give yourself a break and put yourself first.
Yeah, for sure. I remember like when I started my internship, I was kind of shocked by how strict they were about go home. Like even like for the artists and everyone, they're like, as soon as the like clock hits 6 o'clock, leave. Like don't work after, don't pressure yourself, which I was surprised by, especially in college when they're like, sort of like, I don't care how long you work, you have to work until it's done. So yeah, how was it for you, Vidya?
I feel like, again, same thing, what everyone's saying. In college, I was pretty much like, well, my first 2 years of college was like, all right, explore, have fun, figure out what your electives or what you really want to do. And then the last 2 years is like when I was like, all right, I gotta like, prep for internships, prep my reel, spend like hours in my lab and like, have all my machines up for rendering and all of that stuff. But after my first gig was an apprenticeship, a modeling apprenticeship. And I feel like, so literally I took my last final, I graduated and came to LA. And of course I didn't have to like work overnight or anything, but I did put a good amount of work just to like, show that I was interested and just wanted to do really well too. So I did put a good amount of work. But then as I like kept going like next year and stuff, I feel like the weight was not too bad. Like I would like leave at 6 or whichever, like 8 hours a day. And I had time to like explore, makes like, I don't know, learn some new hobbies and yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, Erica, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, again, school, I was living at school and just whenever I would get home, I would research, be like, how do I do this so I can try it out when I get back to the lab tomorrow? I do remember other students would be like, oh, I had an all-nighter last night, and they're like, oh, I haven't slept since Monday. Like, that's not good. I would be like, I got a great amount of sleep last night. It's not a race. It felt like people were bragging that they were working so hard. Like, if it's at one point, it's like, is it taking you this long to get this done? Like, just step back, just, figure it out before just trying everything and just like working yourself to the bone, like you guys said. Now it's like you have set hours, and of course, you have other departments that are waiting for you for things, but it's a marathon, not just a sprint to get one thing done and move on,
Yeah. And that sort of, we actually did get like a question from the audience, which sort of matches with the look development topic, which is, what are some of your day-to-day tasks look like? And what's your favorite task out of like the entire day that you look forward to doing the most? So yeah, we can start with you, Sonali.
Yeah, so my day-to-day, I usually have a fair amount of meetings. And I would say, honestly, my favorite part is meeting with my materials team. I love the people that I work with, and I love getting to talk to them, especially in the work from home time. Like, I like the social interaction, and I like to keep in touch with all of them. So that's my favorite. But outside of meetings, I'm not in meetings all day. I do a lot of work in Houdini, and we'll also do texture painting in Substance Painter and Designer, and we render with RenderMan. So I'm doing a lot of debugging stuff too, and also a lot of collaborating. So it depends on the project that I'm working on, but I do like know when to ask for help, and I do try to help my other teammates. So it's not like you're sort of siloed and you're not working alone. You're always in communication with other people on your team and other people in other departments. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, that's sort of because, in college, it's sort of like you work by yourself most of the time until like senior year, but like in the industry, you're working alongside a bunch of people. So yeah, definitely a lot of collaboration. And are there points where you go back and forth to sort of fix things? Like if there's a model change and then like a little tweak in the model, how often does that happen?
All the time. So it's like, I mean, it also depends on like the project you're working on and the deadlines, and even between characters and environments, it changes. But at Blue Sky, we are working in this USD pipeline. So USD, Universal Scene Description, was developed at Pixar. And basically it can do a lot of things. But I think one of the biggest impacts is that we're all departments are working on top of each other all the time. So modeling is modeling a set, and I'm doing the materials, and lighting is lighting the sequences and shots. So it's all very collaborative. It's not like, oh, the model's done, hand it off to materials. It's like, no, the model's kind of done, lighting needs it, so we got to do the materials. And that's sort of the ability of the modern USD pipeline. So yes, there's a lot of back and forth.
Awesome. So how is it for you, Chaiwon?
It's pretty similar to Sonali. Like it really depends on what kind of assignments I have at the time. Like it depends on it's a character or set and all. When I'm working on environment team, I usually talk a lot with the modelers and lighting artists. And also a lot of times because we bump into a lot of bugs, so talk to a lot of TDs as well. And yeah, it's all collaboration, and you can't really do anything without like nice model, and like lighters cannot really work without my texture. So yeah, that's really exciting. And the task I really love doing, for sure, it's some kind of a set or character that I can work from scratch. And if the concept has really strong personality into it, like I get super motivated on it. Like if it has a like great creative shape on it, or it has strong color palette, it really inspires me to do a better work. So yeah, that would be my favorite work to do. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, how is it at Erica, how is it at Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I'm usually during the day I'm checking out if there's any new props that I need to make or characters. Honestly, I don't even know which one's my favorite because, you know, on SpongeBob, we've all seen there's such a wide variety of things that could just pop up on the screen. I have no idea what I'm working on sometimes. I've had a lot of discussions of, is this wet if we're underwater? That's a big one. But yeah, I'm also talking to like almost every single department every single day. If there's like a modeling, a UV fix, there's a lot of times where they're like, I mean, SpongeBob and all the other characters, they're extremely storyboard driven, and like the storyboarders, the people working on like regular 2D SpongeBob are helping out on this, and they're a lot of the poses are very cartoony, of course. Sometimes rigging needs to add those figures, and then we need to adjust texture so it supports those extreme stretches and squashes. And then, yeah, I'm also helping finalize assets too. So I'm doing hot fixes if there's any updates to anything, and just making sure that it's good to go for animation.
Awesome. And Vidya, is there anything you'd like to add on to that? About how it goes at Pixar?
Yeah, I work more on like the sets environments mainly. And my day-to-day is a lot like reviews, art reviews, crew meetings. Sometimes we have like kickoffs whenever you like start a new piece. You have like a meeting for that now because of Zoom and everything too. And my favorite thing is probably getting a really sketchy piece of concept art when I'm modeling, because I love kind of like showing like variation in a lot of models. Like I like kind of like bringing my own kind of research into it, along with like the concept artist, and kind of creating a couple options for like, I don't know, the art directors to take a look at. So I like kind of having a little bit of like my own imagination, like whenever I get a concept art, and I think that's a fun part for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so cool how it goes from like that color script or like that texture swatch to like actual like 3D textures. So I'm amazed at like the work you guys do. But So here's like a question for students who are interested in pursuing a career in look development. What are some programs you recommend them using? Like what kind of programs do you tech? I know Sonali kind of went over what should they use at Blue Sky, but if you guys want to share what you use daily or sometimes use or recommend students to start learning.
Definitely Maya. I heard the Blender got much better these days, so maybe we could try Blender too. But many studios usually use Maya as a base program, and any types of a 3D painting tool like Mari or Substance Painter. I don't think it matters which tool you use as long as you have a strong foundation and understanding about the texturing. And we also use ZBrush or Mudbox to create displacement map. Currently I'm using Substance Designer a lot to make my own texture, and I think it's really powerful tool to know. And one thing I really want to mention for like the beginners is that I know there's a lot of automated texture tool out there, like Substance Painter's, I think it's called Smart Material.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really easy to use, but if you are using it too early on, you're gonna lose all the foundation you need to learn at the time, and then starting to depend on those tools. So try to do everything from scratch when you're first learning. And later, maybe when you're in a studio or you're doing some kind of a personal project, after you know all the foundation, you can maybe use those. Yeah.
Awesome. So does everyone else, like, do your studios use similar programs, or is there anything new you'd like to add that hasn't been mentioned before?
We use Katana for shading and lighting, and Mari. I don't know if Mari was mentioned, but Katana, Mari, and yeah. And sometimes it's good to know, like maybe Marvelous Designer, 3D Coat. It's good for retopo and UVing sometimes. Just like find software that, or plugins that like make your workflow a lot more efficient, because you find yourself like when you're a student or working on your reel, you always tend to like do a certain, like you do something like so many times, like try to find a script online or make one where you can like, you know, get that done faster. Things like that really help when you're working on your reel.
Awesome.
Well, just sorry, can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I definitely agree with what everybody said so far, but I just want to harp on Houdini. I love Houdini, and I I didn't learn Houdini until I was like a senior, and then once I used it, I was like, oh my god, I'm never going back. I mean, you have to use Maya for some things. Like Maya is awesome for like modeling and doing manual stuff, but Houdini and procedural workflows are like a really important thing to know. And I was lucky that I knew Houdini and Blue Sky had just transitioned to Houdini, and it was like, oh great, I'm in the right place at the right time. Another thing, like when you're looking for grooming jobs, I think XGen is a very common like basis for a lot of people to start off with. I think a lot of what do you call them? Studios have their own proprietary software for grooming. At Blue Sky, we use Houdini. So yeah, I guess speaking to the grooming side of things, yeah, and there's other plugins too, like there's Yeti or Shave and Haircut and whatever, but XGen comes with Maya, so.
Oh, and I also want to add on top of that, knowing a basic scripting is really useful when you go to bigger studio. So yeah, if you have you get a chance, take like 1 or 2 scripting classes at school.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like at my school at Noman, you know, they would make us take lighting class and rendering class, and I had to take a scripting class. And at the time, you know, there are people who would be like, I'm never gonna need this. I just need to pass the class. But like,
I was
just
one of them.
have all the tools and like it would totally come in handy later. I feel like just building kind of like a kind of CG like tech language of like kind of like you can transition if you know Blender and like are familiar with it and you're comfortable with it. I think it's easy to transition to Maya because you have that kind of language down. So don't be too scared of that. And then also, I feel like we're also talking about a lot of programs and maybe some people are like a little intimidated by that. But you know, there's a lot of people at the studio who are willing to help and like don't worry if you feel like you don't know everything because there's always someone who's willing to help.
Yeah, for sure. And I see a lot of questions coming in from the audience. So just like, we'll just hop on to our last discussion question and then we can start going on there. But our last discussion question is, since you've like done the process of like making a demo reel and then like applying, what do you think are some key things to have in your demo reel to get it viewed, you know, and to get that interview? From your experience, what do you think helped you? So yeah, anyone can hop in. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like that important thing on your demo reel is to show what you want to work on. So if you want to work in cartoons and very stylized pieces, just show that you're passionate about those. I feel like everyone at my school loves steampunk, loves sci-fi, loves robots. I do not like that. I made a cute fluffy tiger and I got a job. So just do what you want to do and don't be like, oh, I need to show more grunge and more metal. Like, it's okay. You know, people will see that you want to do this. Yeah. I guess I'll also say, just I think a good balance of characters and environments too. Like you want to do both as well. But if you want to just do environments, then just 100% go for that.
For me, like after you get all the foundation right, I used to pay a lot of attention to the details. Like always find like tons of reference and like just don't depend on only in a Google image. If the thing you want to make in a 3D, try to go out there and actually look at it and take your own photo and your video and like just look for a unique detail that material have, and to train your eyes, just everyday life, just look around you and then look for like if it has a weird grunge or if it has like some kind of a weird bump on it, just take a look at it and just enjoy it and then just take a picture of it. Like I do that all the time, and my husband make fun of me all the time, like how nerdy I am. But yeah, it's just, even though it looks like a useless rusty stuff, like it could be really good reference for you. So try to train your eyes in the everyday life and put those details onto your reel. Then studios will appreciate that too.
I can add on to that. For me, when I first made my reel, I applied to like the POP internship. It's like the Pixar undergraduate program. And for that reel specifically, like what was just mentioned, kind of like train your eye. Like whenever I was working on my reel, I had a lot of like random like electric poles. So I would take reference images, literally go outside, take pictures of all these like really weird like electric pole details, like the way the wires work, like get all of that reference in. And paying attention to that detail is key, because people looking at your reel see that, and they'll know how much work you put into this. So adding those little details always help. And maybe even adding something personal to it. again, anything, bring maybe your culture in or any kind of relevant experience. Add that in. That stuff always helps. And in your breakdown, you can maybe add like a little snippet about what this piece is about, what is it called. And something that also kind of helps is you don't always have to add like only 3D things. Like people love to see what you do outside of 3D. So like if that's clay sculpting, painting, or even just like making a script, people love to see that like just as an extra. Don't make your reel all about that, but like just add that at the end, I think would be kind of, you know, a little like cherry on top. I did that for my reel. I added like some clay sculpting at the end. And yeah, I think things like that always work. And one thing my mentor told me, like when I first started in the industry, was that technical things are easier to like teach and learn. Because like, you know, you can go from Maya to Blender, but having an artistic eye is harder to teach, like, you know, teaching like proportions and all of that. That's something you get from constantly looking around you. And yeah, I think that really kind of stuck to me, hearing that.
I agree with what everybody has said so far, especially about using reference and personal work and stuff like that. I think sometimes there are things about demo reels that you don't realize until somebody tells you, and it's usually a recruiter at a job you want. So like for most of my school life, they were like, I would put what I thought was my best work first, but then at one point a recruiter asked me, so what's your favorite piece on your reel? And I was like, oh, it's this third one over here. And they're like, put it first. I'm like, oh, okay, I should have done that. And there's other things too that are more subtle. Like I didn't really know that I should put references next to my asset. So like I put all of these different pictures, like here's the concept art, here's some images that I found, here's some pictures that I took, here's something I drew. All of this different stuff, especially with stylized work, it means a lot. It goes a long way because often when you look at stylized student work, you don't know what they're going for. And when somebody asks you for feedback, or when you ask somebody for feedback, their first question is, well, what is it supposed to look like? Do you have any reference? Like what is our basis of judgment there? So that's an important thing. And yeah, I guess that's the.
Awesome. So we're actually getting a lot of questions. So are you guys ready to hop into the questions?
Sure.
Awesome. So our first question is about substance designer. So the question is, I thought it was only used in games. How effective is it in non-game pipelines?
So we usually export it out and use it as a displacement map and bump map or roughness or AO kind of map. So even though we're not directly plugged it into the game engine, you can still export it out and use it as your texture. So it's really powerful. Like you can pretty much make anything you can think of. Like when I was in college before the designer was so popular, I always had this thought that I wish I can make this pattern, or like I wish I can make this material inside like Photoshop or something. And Substance Designer is that one. So yeah, we use it all the time as a texture map.
Yeah, it also, Substance Designer is very important for this procedural workflow. So a lot of, Blue Sky in particular, before they had this new pipeline, all of their work was procedural. And I think Pixar also, like a lot of artists work very procedurally. So I think it's important it's actually really fun. Like Substance Designer is super fun. And it doesn't really matter that every preset lines up with RenderMan or Arnold or whatever. You just use those maps where you need them. So yeah, I usually make a pattern in Designer and then bring it into Painter, then bring those maps into Houdini, render those in RenderMan. It's a long process.
Yes, for sure. Is Erica, Vidya, do you guys want to add on anything, or would you like to hop on to the next question?
I'm fine with the next one.
I'm fine with
Okay.
the next one. I agree with
Okay,
what they
cool.
Yeah.
So someone had a question about, like you mentioned, learning scripting languages. So they wanted to ask, what sort of scripting languages do you use mostly on a daily basis, or even like when you work?
At Disney, we use SC Expert, but it doesn't really matter, you know, that certain language. In school, I studied Python, but because the basic and like all the calculations are the same, as long as you understand the concept of how scripting works, it's fine. So don't worry too much about which language I need to like learn at school.
All right, awesome. Does anyone else want to add anything? Okay, cool. So our next question is about demo reels again, which is, what's the best way to present it? Breakdowns, 360-degree views, those kind of turntables. Yeah, what would you recommend?
Maybe it depends on what it is. For character work, I have a lot of turntables, but then I also have a lot of close-ups. And then I include the breakdowns with the item. So I don't have a separate reel for my breakdowns. I have like, okay, I have like the shot with the person moving, and then I have a turntable. And then after that, I'll have a close-up, and then I added texture maps for this one character. So that's sort of how I structured mine, and I have a job, so I guess it worked. Yeah, when I was in school, I was very worried about having stuff other than turntables. Like I was like, oh, I can't have too many turntables, or I need to have stuff that's in shots, but it doesn't really matter. Like they're looking for your ability to texture, not your ability to, I don't know. I was worried about having an entirely done shot, but don't worry about it.
I would say when you're working towards finalizing your demo reel, you want to think about your object or what's in focus on your screen. And like if there's, let's say you're wondering, should I do a turntable or not? Like think about like, is there something to see in every, angle of your object? Like, is the back like mostly empty? Like, do you want to do a turntable then, or do you want to just like go with some cinematic pans or close-ups, right? So it really depends on what you're showing. Because environments, sometimes you can get away with just like a pan or like a close-up in like an image. You can do like some stuff in After Effects for that. But when you're doing a turntable for environments, you definitely want something in every angle to be shown. So if you're putting that like on a cylinder or something to showcase that, yeah.
Awesome. Erica, did you want to say anything?
I would agree with just making sure, everything looks crisp that you're showing, and don't worry too much about making sure you have the AO pass, the lighting, you edit it so it goes like really cool and stuff. Like just show your piece and like don't worry, Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So I know we're getting close to time, but so we have two last questions. So the first question to ask is it difficult to transition from a more stylized show to a more natural one?
No, I guess not, because also like when you work on a stylized stuff for a long time, you're sort of, at least for texturing, you're like, oh my God, I really want to work on something that looks real, because, with stylized work, you're like, oh my God. I mean, it depends on the style, obviously, but for me, I'm working on a very stylized movie, Nimona, and I like jump at the opportunity to like put some dirt on something that looks real or whatever, like, oh, cool, displacement. So I think it's fun to go back and forth, because you don't want to get stuck doing something that looks too realistic. It's fun to do stylized stuff, but then once you are doing stylized stuff for too long, then you want to go back to realistic. So it's not difficult, and it's cool to know both.
I think it's really depends on like what kind of style it is, and I keep saying like this, but like if it's a for the beginner students, I really recommend try to do something realistic first, and then explore to do something more stylized, because just what I already said, like foundation is the most important thing. And when you're doing stylized thing with all that knowledge from the realistic renders, like you can explore so much more. And yeah, I also like doing more stylized things and more experimental things. So I don't think it's which one is more hard or which one is more easier. It really depends on how much you want to explore.
I also just want to add that I know when you're beginning, you always feel like you have this urge to kind of want to do everything. And I feel like kind of try to let go of that. Like, I know you want to maybe make the concept and model it and everything, but it's good to have that. But also find like a concept art to work off from, have some reference again, like go on Pinterest or ArtStation, find like some, like I'm talking from a modeling perspective. So like find like some concept art so you can base off like your work from, because that's what you're gonna do in a studio, right? You're gonna have a concept art, you're gonna model from that. So it's nice to kind of have that in your reel as well.
I will also add on also that when between natural and stylized work, like we're still using reference no matter what. I'm not looking up what does SpongeBob look like. I'm looking up what kind of sponges are there. I'm getting details from actual sponges, and I may be exaggerating them, but it's still all from real life. Our wood is still, based off of real wood. Which way does the grain go? Where does it get dusty or dirty? So it's again looking at reference and keeping a critical eye, and maybe stylized work, it just exaggerates it a little more, but it's still, focusing on reference.
Yeah. And like to add on to that, like I remember I went to a panel and there was the artist said that he would take, for his creatures, he would take reference from real life animals, because then it just people it doesn't look like uncanny when it's like, even though they're like mixed up together, they still have those kind of textures and like features that real animals have, which I thought was really interesting. And I was like, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's so cool. And so our last question to wrap up our panel today is, where do you guys see yourselves in the next 5 to 10 years? And what kind of work do you hope you'll be doing? Just a hard question for the end.
I hope I'm not working in my home. I hope I'm back at the studio and I can meet all these great artists in person again.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, but it's okay. Everything's comfortable at home at least. But I don't know. I hope that the industry keeps growing. We keep having more Asians in the industry come join us, and just working on different kinds of things of texture. It'd be fun. Yeah, just the variety. Not really anything specific.
For me, in 5 years, I wish I understand all the pipeline Disney have, and I wish I'll be the one who people come and ask question, and like I can help them out and solve problems together. And for I wish I could get less lazy, so I start working on my personal project.
Yeah, we're gonna be more. Now we're gonna, like, people are gonna wait to see your rig, your character in your rig.
Oh my god, I should have mentioned it here. Yeah, but yeah, that would be my goal in 5 years.
I feel like for me, I kind of want to encourage more people, especially like Asian, Indian people, to get into the art industry. I also teach a course on CGMA on modeling, and I hope to like get a lot of the students jobs in the industry and just inspire them, motivate them, and give them everything that I learned and what my mentors have taught me, and kind of just pass that on. And yeah, just kind of get more people like us in the industry.
Yeah, I guess I want to say the same thing everybody said, like especially about trying to guide people who were in the same position that I was when I started school or when I was in high school or not really knowing what I was doing. I just want to help people who might need me the way that I might have needed somebody like me. Okay, I can, whatever. Come ask me questions.
Being the person you wished you had.
That is it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monty.
No, yeah, because especially as like a student, you feel lost and you feel like, what am I doing? So it's so like nice to see someone like you who's had the same experiences. It makes you feel like, okay, I can get there at some point. I just have to go one step at a time. So
exactly. If
yeah.
I could do it, so could you.
Yes. Everyone watching now, you guys can become look dev artists. But awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who's watching. I hope you guys learned anything. And before we head off, is there, if anyone's interested in like learning from you, would you, how would you like them to contact you?
I can be contacted through Instagram or LinkedIn. I think Monty can send out my handles or my name or whatever. Yeah.
I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm not really good social media person, so I have an Instagram, but I don't really post anything or answer anything. But LinkedIn is the only one I check daily.
Yeah, you can send me an Instagram message or a LinkedIn message, and I will definitely try and get back. I like talking and helping students too.
I agree.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here, and thank you to everyone viewing. And yeah, today this is a wrap on our Look Development panel. So